Owen Wilson told me later, he said, I thought that by offering to pay part of my wages, it would shame the studio into paying you what you'd asked for. And it didn't. The studio just went, yeah, fine, yeah, you pay him. And that's what they did. So I ended up taking money out of their pocket.
Hey, wow.
You know, we've had some great talent walk through the door of the Chris Moyles Show studio.
Oh, we have.
And sometimes we're lucky when that great talent comes back for a second visit, maybe even a third.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how delighted I am to welcome back the great talent. Just ask him, he'll tell you. That is, I love that joke, Mr. Steve Coogan.
Hey. Hey. Thank you, Ray. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah, great.
Yeah?
Pretty good, yeah. Sunny outside.
Yeah.
Spring is in the air.
Absolutely.
Everywhere you look around. Thank you. Now, so much to talk to you about. I've got lots of things to chat with you about, but the main thing is your new film, as we would say, which is The Penguin Lessons, which is you fall in love with a penguin, get married, have kids, and it's based on a true story.
Something like that.
Tell us all about it.
Tell us all about it. It's true, I'm in a penguin film. I sort of always have to do a bit of a disclaimer, because whenever I say, I've just done this film with the penguin, they go, what? Why did you do that? And which is a good question. It's look, you know, if it had been a cuddly penguin film, I would have said no. But it was written by my friend and collaborator Jeff Pope, who I've written a few films with, and he wrote it based on a true story about a guy who adopted a penguin in Argentina in 1976 during a fascist dictatorship that was there at the time, and he was teaching English to posh boys at school. Adopted a penguin, used the penguin in the lessons to make them more interesting. Bob's your uncle. End of. But the penguin is actually it's the catalyst for basically the real guy, the real Tom Michelle was actually quite a nice guy, and I said to Jeff, look, nice guy adopts penguin is nice to the penguin, and that's the end. Yeah, isn't as interesting as let's make him somebody who hates penguins and children, and not particularly interested in engaging in this talking about a military coup. He just wants to have a good time, keep his head down, and drift through life. And of course, but he tries to rescue a penguin to impress a woman who he wants to sleep with.
Love that.
But the woman runs off, and he ends up just stuck with the penguin.
There you go.
You've been there. We've all been there.
Who hasn't been in
Listen,
exactly.
I tried once to impress a penguin and got stuck with a woman.
Got stuck with a woman. Well,
let's not go down that route, actually.
No.
So let me ask you this. So where did the idea come from? Because it was Tom Mitchell, the actual guy, he wrote a memoir about it, wrote a book about it. So do you guys acquire the rights? Does this come to you?
Jeff and I, we were working on another film about Richard III, about finding the body of Richard III. And anyway, and he said, I'm writing this penguin film. Do you want to be in a film about a penguin with a penguin? And I said, no. Obviously, no. Of course I don't.
Of course not.
Right. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
And he said it was based on this book that he'd got the rights to. And Jeff's always doing lots of things. Sometimes we do stuff together. Then I go off and do things on my own, and so does he. And he just said, look, what I said, well, let's talk about it. Let's try and make it, if you put a bit of grit in the oyster, make it a bit spiky and not too cuddly. And I thought, well, I hope, because it's a bit weird. It's like, well, is it a cuddly film about a penguin? Or is it a film about a military dictatorship and how those dark times? I said, well, maybe it can be both. You know, the penguin, everyone likes cuddly penguins. Fascism's very popular at the moment, you know. So something for everyone.
So that, by the way, which is a brilliant idea. You're right to morph the two. If it's just a story about a nice guy with a penguin, you go, oh, that's cute. It's more like a 3.5 minute VT on the one shot.
Exactly.
But then, so you agree on that with Jeff, and then do you have to go to Tom Mitchell, the actual real man, and go, so listen, you know your lovely little cute book about your lovely story about the penguin. We would love to make a film of it, but we want to make you a bit of a word that I can't say.
Bit of a DH.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm not sure we asked him, but I think he liked the results. Sometimes you just do it, and it's better to not ask permission and apologise afterwards.
Absolutely.
Because, so I think that's what we did. But Tom's delighted with the film. But we did it before when I did this film with Jeff called Philomena, and I played Martin Sixsmith, the BBC journalist. And Martin's quite a nice bloke, but we made him more grouchy. And basically, I always put half of me into the character. It's just easier.
Just grumpy them up.
Easier to do, grumpy them up a bit.
Yeah.
And then it's just, then now to do it.
There you go. You filmed it in Spain, and you speak a lot of Spanish in it.
I speak quite a lot of Spanish in it.
Very
Well,
impressive.
I studied Spanish like 45 years ago, but for like a year before I dropped it, I was
Right.
about 14. Anyway, so I did this. So when we did the film, so I knew how to, the rules how to pronounce it, and I knew what I was saying and what it meant.
Yes.
And sort of translate it in my head very roughly. But I to say it fast is quite difficult. So when I'm on the phone, in fact, so somebody tell us a secret. I'm talking quite eloquently in Spanish, but there's two giant idiot boards in front of me with the Spanish written down. So I can
Like
change.
phonetically written out?
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually written out in the Spanish. It's not
Okay.
written out like sort of
Well,
like...
no, because-
I know sometimes they do that.
Yeah.
But no, I do. I understood what I was saying.
Right.
But... so yeah, and I also that was the decision early on because I said to Jeff, we've got to have a bit of Spanish in there because if he's in Spain, let's have people speak Spanish, but also people do speak English, so we have a bit of both to give you that kind of authenticity. And my Spanish is sort of quite rocky, but we wanted to make it. I mean, the thing is, when you make decisions like that, you think, oh no, now I've got to go and learn it.
That's the
There's
thing.
also I was talking with Jeff. I said, why don't you make him good at being able to do a bit of tango? Because then, if he's horrible, and women think he might be, not very nice. If they see him being good at tango, they think, well, if you can dance a bit, then they'll think that people cut you a bit of slack
Yeah.
if you can dance.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just the
I get you.
And I believe some women do.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I
adorable.
thought I've got to have these tango lessons. And you only see a bit of it in the film, but I had to have lots of. I was more worried about looking like a bad tangoer.
Nobody wants a bad tango, do they?
But you'd think you had this down, though, that you'd learned that if you suggest, hey, do you know what I think would be really good? If there's a scene where he's like naked and has shaved all his body hair off, and you go, that's funny. And then at some point, you've got to film that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, you think, okay, well, I've made a bit of a rod for my own back, so to speak. I mean, a wooden rod. Yeah. So, but you have to think of it, it's odd because when you write stuff and then you're in it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't write this. Jeff came along and said, what do you think of this? And I went, let's have a tinker. But it's his script. But you find ways of, you sort of have writer's hat on sometimes, and then you have your producer's hat on, and then you have your actor's hat on. Sometimes you have to divorce yourself from. I mean, when we're writing Partridge, I sort of feel like we're just the three of us are just kicking ideas around, and I happen to be the one that then goes and puts a wig on. Of the three of us.
The thing is, if it makes it better when your producer head's on, if it makes it better, it would be better if he spoke Spanish at some point. It would be a nice touch if he could tango. You're right with those things.
And then you grow and think, oh no.
It's tango day.
Yeah, and it really had such anxiety about that. It's funny.
The
I think,
dancing.
well, I mean, you barely see it, but they are proper moves, and I could tell the teacher who was teaching me was being really patient, but I knew she thought I was just rubbish. She wasn't allowed to say that.
Sympathetic smiles.
Yeah, lots of sympathetic smiles. Yeah.
But listen, we can't be good at everything. That's the thing. There's got to be certain things. I had to learn to tap dance for a thing, and when I got asked to do it, I was in a musical surrounded by musical theatre people. And they're all like, oh my God, tap dancing is so easy. Like we're in a pub having a few drinks and then like literally 5 of them just start tap dancing. They're like, it's so easy. And then I went to learn how to tap dance one routine, and I'm just very heavy-footed, as it turns out. I'm really not good at tap dancing. Blacked it, but not very good.
Yeah. Well, you surround yourself with a lot of professionals. You sort of hide amongst them.
Well, weirdly, I had to tap dance with a hologram of Morecambe and Wise.
Wow. Well, in the olden days, there were song and dance men, weren't they? In the olden days, they were just, you had to be able to do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
You sing a song, do a bit of a dance, tell some jokes, act a bit.
Yeah.
It was like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. I will do it all. If you book me again, I'll play here again. Yeah. Okay, so The Penguin Lessons is in cinemas April 18th. It is Steve Coogan's new film. It is It's a lovely watch.
It's very good. I watched it last night. It's very good, Steve.
Jonathan Pryce is in it.
He is in it.
Sir Jonathan Pryce.
That's right.
Yeah.
Should be Lord.
Yeah.
Why are you not a Sir?
Do you know what? That's a very good question, but not one that I want. Not one that I have to ask. That's for other people to ask.
You're right.
That's something for other people to ask.
Have you got
a lot?
Have you got anything? Have you got anything?
Immediately write to your MP.
Do you have any letters after your name?
They offered me something, but I said,
Did they?
I said no, thank you.
Did they really? Is that true?
Yeah,
What, can I ask why you said no?
because I don't believe in all that nonsense.
Okay.
Right.
What would you take a Sir?
I'd like to be offered something. Look, if they do, I'll consider it.
Right.
But really, I just want the letters to put in my downstairs loo. I don't, that's the, yeah.
Do you when the honours list comes out, I'm not saying I do this at all, but do you ever look at the list and go, no way, they don't deserve that?
Yeah, well, Rob Brydon got an FP.
And no way does he deserve it.
And that was 5 years ago, but I'm still scratching my head about it.
And you know what he got it for? For all the cruise ship adverts he's done.
Yeah.
It was services to panel shops.
That was it. He's a lucky man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Why do you feel the need that you always have to just help him out or carry him a bit more?
It is good if
You've
you do.
done your
Because
bit.
when you help other people, it makes you feel better.
It's true.
And
You've helped him now. He needs to look after himself.
he does very well. Look, I know he does well because he and Lee Mack, when they're doing Would I Lie to You, whenever I go and see my mother, all she says is, "Oh, they're very funny. They're very funny." I go, yeah, I know. Can we talk about something else?
Yeah.
Hey, can I run through some of your other work with you before we let you go? Because I always love talking to you. If I just name something that you've done, if anything comes to mind, just tell me. And if it's like, yeah, that was good, then that's fine. I'll move on, right? Because the body of work is lovely and varied, which is what I love about your stuff. Yeah. Night at the Museum.
It was fun, but that's like a gig. You just show up. I mean, jobs like that, you show up, you dress up as a Roman soldier, you put tan on your legs, you go out there and just pretend you're miniature and look at big crosses on sticks, and when they put it together, it looks like you're looking at a giant and things like that. So
Just a normal day.
But it's fun.
Fun.
I'll tell you what happened once.
There you go. You see?
All right. Well, Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. Well, they offered me some money. I won't say much for it, and I said that's not enough. I'm not doing it. Right. So Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller said, "We'll give Steve some of our wages to make him do, because we want him to come along," and Owen Wilson was offered quite a significant amount to bump it up to what I wanted. And the and Owen Wilson told me later, he said, "I thought that by offering to pay part of my wages, it would shame the studio into paying you what you'd asked for." And it didn't. The studio just went, "Yeah, fine, yeah, you pay him." And that's what they did. So I ended up taking money out of their pockets.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Poor old Owen Wilson.
Yeah, no.
And Rich Steve. Tropic Thunder.
That was great fun. That was in Hawaii, and I remember flew my mum and dad out. It was like a big holiday.
Oh, nice!
But that was I remember my daughter came out, because in that film I sort of get blown up and my head gets blown off, and I have a picture of my daughter holding my head by the hair, which is very touching.
Is she all right?
She's a bit damaged.
Yeah. Stan and Ollie.
That was working with John C. Reilly. That was great. That was so much fun because John is. I just loved him as an actor, and we had a ball together. Really, that was a real labour of love, and really sort of. There's a scene in it where I'm sitting on a bed with John and with like two old men holding hands in a very platonic way. I hasten to add, not there's anything wrong with it not being platonic. It's just that's not my back. That's
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Cheers. Yeah, so and it was really touching. It was really like a very emotional moment. Even when we were shooting it, I remember we were both sort of filling up a bit. So
it was a love story, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a love story between two old men.
It was brilliant.
It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work.
I love it.
It is such a lovely, lovely film.
It is.
Thank you.
I'm
I'm welling up now, you just saying that.
It's so lovely. It's such a lovely film, and you're into it very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, that's absolutely Laurel and Hardy there.
Well, there still is. We watched loads of a lot. I tell you what happened was the week before we started shooting, the director got appendicitis, so we had to delay shooting for a week. So I said to John, come to the Lake District. There's a Laurel and Hardy museum in Ulverston. And we went up there on the train and literally just walked into the Laurel and Hardy Museum in Ulverston. There's like 3 guys in there watching old Laurel and Hardy films on a TV set with loads of memorabilia.
Wow.
And they were, what are you doing here? I said, well, we're both going to play them. And they were like, they're sort of, do you want to see all the stuff? I went, yeah, okay. So we put their jackets on and handle their cigarette cases and tried to tap into the
amazing
Laurel and Hardy vibe. And yeah, it's quite interesting how things like that happen by accident. And it's quite special.
It's a really lovely piece of work. It really is. It's such a lovely story, and it's nice for me because my dad went to see Laurel and Hardy in Leeds, and I remember him telling me that, and I remember thinking I remember hearing that as a kid, going, Laurel and Hardy. That's not like dinosaurs. It's all black and white. They weren't actually real.
Well, they were broke because they got a wage back in the 1930s when their films were all over the place. They were famous all over the world, but they didn't really have a stake in it. That was all Hal Roach, this sort of very wily, if you're being kind, a businessman who owned it all. And so by the 1940s, they'd spent all their money in. And it's funny enough, when television came along, a lot of these people had been forgotten were rediscovered because that's how you and I know Lauren. Because we watched it on TV on a Saturday morning. Yeah. That's how a lot of people rediscovered them.
Finally, are we seeing Alan Partridge again?
You will be. Very, very shortly. There's we've been dotting the T's and crossing the I's of see what I did there.
See, you did. You got it.
Yeah, that's right.
You did it deliberately.
Did it deliberately. Yeah. Because that's all. Yeah, that's getting in shape. It's going to be appearing on the BBC quite shortly. I'm not quite sure when, but
great.
Yeah, he's back with a documentary series.
Great.
On mental health.
Now, that's what I'd heard.
Right.
So...
Yeah. I mean, in actual fact, even though he's obviously not very good at his job, which is the joke, you do actually, he and the audience do actually learn something genuine sort of by the end of it. So even though it's like, not quite the way you thought you'd learn something. And it's actually quite, the last scene, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's funny and moving at the same time.
Good.
Nice. So you sort of go, you feel a bit choked up, but you're also laughing your head off. Which is my favourite feeling.
I love so much about Alan, and next time if you come back to talk about that, we can really get deep into the Alan Partridge thing. But I like a win. I like when characters like that win occasionally, and it can be a tiny win or a big.
Do you know it's very interesting? There's 2 series of 40 Towers. In the first series, Basil Fawlty sometimes kind of won.
Yeah.
And the second series, he really got it in the neck all the way through, and I didn't like it. Because I thought, well, he's not very nice, but the people he encounters are worse.
Yes.
And so I wanted little Pyrrhic victories. And interesting.
But there's a small thing in the writing maybe, but for me, I really liked it. Is when it's in one of the documentaries or whatever where Alan goes to work at a checkout counter at a supermarket or something, just to see what it's like and do a bit of filming. And then quickly, before you know it, he's in. He's absolutely, Maureen, how much are these? How you doing, love? You're all right. That's terrible weather. But it's so subtle because it literally, but what I like about it is it shows that actually, and it never really gets referenced again, Alan very comfortably just slot into that role of checkout person, and I really like that.
Well, it's like just
because you'd think it'd be beneath.
He'd be terrible, or it'd be beneath him.
Yeah.
Well, he also works on the open air market in Norwich as well, doesn't he? When he gets a little bit carried away with that female customer.
Well, because he enjoyed twizzling the brown bags with the.
I won't say what he said.
Finally, are you going to any of the Oasis gigs?
I should think so. Well, I was there the first time. That's how old I am. I was there when the whole crowd were jumping up and down. And I remember one of the first gigs I went to. Liam said everyone. It was before mobile phones, and he was singing Wonderwall, and everyone got their lighters out and held them up, like that. And I remember he said, "Put your lighters out. You're not at an Elton John concert. And I thought, I quite like those guys.
Well, hopefully see you there, because that'll be good.
I'll be at one of them. With all the old grey hairs.
Yeah.
Pretend we're still young rockers.
Yeah. Well, that won't be me, because I bleached my hair now. So.
And I don't have any. So.
The Penguin Lessons is in cinemas April 18th. Go and see it. It's a great watch. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much.
Fun. Always fun to be
here. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I just said there you go to a compliment. Always fun to be here. There you go.
There you go. There you go, Steve.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Coogan.
Radio X.